Millions of years ago, Lucifer tried to lead a rebellion against God and was punished by being thrown out of heaven. He fell right into hell, and Archangel Michael chained him to a large rock, leaving his own sword as the seal.
Archangel
Before
Michael chained him to a
Lucifer
massive
swears
rock,
he'll come back
leaving
someday
his
as an equal to
personal
God.
sword because the
As years
seal.
pass,
Before
Lucifer
Michael
gathers
leaves,
demons to help him
Lucifer
plan his
swears
revenge,
he'll come
and his
return
worshippers
sooner
build a
or
villa
later
around the
as
hole
an
through which he
identical
fell
to
while they
God.
wait for his
As
return.
years Bishop,
The year is now
Lucifer gathers
2022,
demons
and
to
art
assist
historian
him
Laura
plan
is
his
studying in
revenge.
Italy.
And his
She wants to write
worshippers
a thesis on
construct
how
a
the great
villa
Italian
across the
artist
hollow
didn't
through
actually
which he
believe in the
fell
angels
while
and demons
they
they
await his
represented in their
return.
art. But
The
her
year is
professor
now
doesn't approve of the idea because it insults Italy's
An
history.
artwork
To make
historian
matters
Laura
worse,
is
he offers
analyzing
to
in
discuss the
Italy.
thesis
She
in private
desires
at his
to write a
apartment,
thesis
forcing
on
Laura
how the
to run away
tremendous
from the
Italian
creep.
artists
Moments
did not
later,
actually
Laura
agree
meets with
with
Father
inside
Marconi,
the
who gives her a
angels and
special
demons
pass
they
that will give her access
represented of
to all
their
the exhibitions in his
artwork.
cathedral,
However, her
including the
professor
new
would
display
not
of the Shroud of
approve
Turin.
of the concept
This
as
shroud
it
contains
insults Italy's
Jesus' blood from
history.
his
To
crucifixion.
make topics
The
worse,
priest
he
gives Laura
gives
a
to
full
discuss
tour
the
of the place,
thesis
and
in
after seeing the
non-public
shroud,
at his
Marconi
apartment,
shows her their
forcing
latest
Laura
arrival,
to run
a
far
beautiful
from the
statue of
creek.
Michael defeating
Moments
Lucifer.
later, Laura
The duo
meets with
discusses
Father
the concept of
Marconi,
evil for a
who
while.
offers her a
Then
unique
Marconi leaves
biscuit
Laura
with the
so she can
intention
work
to
on
deliver
sketching the
her
statue
get right
for
of
her
entry
thesis.
to all the
While she draws,
exhibitions in
Laura
his
thinks she
cathedral,
can hear someone
such
saying her
as the
name,
brand
but
new
there's
show
nobody
of the
around, and she
Shroud
blames
of
it on her
Turin.
imagination.
This shroud
A few hours
incorporates
later, the
Jesus'
exhibition
blood
is about
from
to
his
close.
crucifixion.
A raven
The
is
priest
flying around the
offers
building
Laura
and
a
lands by
complete
the entrance as it
excursion of the
transforms
area,
into Liz
and
to
after
join the last
seeing the
group of
shroud,
visitors.
Marconi
Instead of following the
suggests
guide,
her their
though,
modern-day
she takes an
arrival,
off-limits door,
a lovely
which is noticed
statue
by a
of
guard
Michael
on the security
defeating
cameras.
Lucifer. The duo
Liz takes the
discusses
corridor with
the
the
idea
statues
of
and
evil
watches
for
Laura
a
draw
while.
from a distance,
Then
only
Marconi
stopping when
leaves
she
Laura
suddenly
so
notices
she will
Lucifer's
paint
head on the
on
statue
sketching
moving.
the statue
Laura
for her
begins
thesis.
getting worried again
While
and
she
checks her
draws,
surroundings,
Laura
only to be
thinks she
startled
will
by a
hear a
raven at the
person
window.
announcing her
While
name.
Laura is
However,
distracted by
there
the
is
bird,
no one
Liz
around, and
steals
he or
Michael's
she
sword from
blames
the
it on
statue
her
and leaves.
imagination.
At that
A few
moment, a guard
hours
finds
later,
Laura thinking
the
she's the good
exhibition
person
is
that
set
got
to
separated
close.
from the group,
A raven
but
is
Laura
flying
proves she's
across
got
the
access to this
constructing
area.
and lands
The
by
guard
way
leaves thinking
of
it was a
means of the front
misunderstanding after
because it
reminding Laura that
transforms
closing.
into Liz to
Laura
enroll
gathers
in the
her things and
remaining
notices Michael's
organization
hand,
of
but she
visitors.
can't tell the
Instead
difference.
of following
Next, she
the
approaches
manual,
the front
though,
door,
she
but
takes
since
an
it's already
off-limits
locked,
door
she goes
that
looking
is
for a different
observed
exit.
by way of
When she
means
gets
of a
back to the
defender on
corridor,
the safety
she's shocked to
cameras.
see Liz
Dr.
killing
Liz
the guard
takes the
with the
hall
sword
with the
and taking his head.
statues and watches Laura
Terrified,
draw from
Laura
a
runs away
distance.
and hides in a
Most
confessional
effective
booth,
preventing
which
when
allows her
she
to see
all of a
Liz
sudden
turning off the
notices
alarms with the guard's
Lucifer's
eyes and
head at
breaking
the
the glass
statue
that protects
moving.
the shroud with
Laura
the sword to
starts
seal the
above
relic.
getting involved
Marconi
once
hears
more
the
in
noise and comes to
assessments
stop
her
her,
surroundings.
but Liz just stabs
Most
her.
effective to
Then
be
Liz's
startled
henchmen
with the
arrive to
aid of
help
using a
protect the
raven
shroud,
on the
but on their
window.
way out,
While
Liz
Laura
sees Laura
is
in the booth
distracted
and
with
orders her
the
men to
aid of
take her.
using the bird,
After the group
Liz
leaves the
steals
room,
Michael's sword
Marconi
from the
uses his last
statue
breath to
and
pray and
leaves.
asks Michael
At
to
that
use his
second,
body
the
in order to
shield
stop
finds
Lucifer.
Laura
Michael
questioning. She's
immediately
the
descends
hood
from
man
heaven and
or
takes over
woman
the
that were
priest's body
given
to run after
separated
Liz's
from
group,
the
who are
institution.
leaving in their car.
However, Laura
His
proves
angel
she's
powers allow him
forgiven
to run
get
quite
entry
fast,
to this
but the
area.
human flesh
The
can't
shield
withstand
leaves
such power,
questioning
and
and
Michael has
become
to
a
stop
false
to avoid
impression
destroying the body.
after reminding Laura
Meanwhile,
they
a group
are
of rich
closing.
people
Laura
watches how
gathers
prodigy
her
child
matters
plays
and
the violin
notices
with admirable
Michael's
skill.
hand. However,
After
she
the
cannot
performance,
inform
Dr.
the
Laurent
difference.
explains this
Next,
kid is
she
a clone of
techniques to
Antonio
the front
Vivaldi,
door,
which is
however,
one more
due to
famous
the
name in a
fact
long
that
list
is
of
already
clones that his
locked,
company has
she
been
is
making
going
by
looking
taking
for
DNA
one
from their
of a
graves.
kind exit.
The
When
babies
she
are then auctioned
receives
to rich
return to
parents,
the hall,
and today's offer
she's
is a
taken
Michelangelo
aback to
clone.
peer Liz
During
killing
the
the
auction,
shield with the
Liz
sword
shows up
and
to let
taking
Laurent
his
know they
head,
have the shroud.
terrified.
Moments
Laura
later,
runs
the
away
group
and
makes it to
hides
Lucifer
in a
Villa.
confessional
Laurent
sales
is excited
space,
to see the
which
shroud
permits
because
her
now
to
he
peer
can finally
Liz
clone
turning off
Jesus,
the
while
alarms
Laura
with the
is chained
shield's
inside a
eyes and
glass cell
breaking
with
the
Brenda and
glass
two
that
other women.
protects the
One of
shroud
them
with the
won't stop
sword to
crying
thieve
and
the
yelling,
relic.
but Laura
Marconi
uses some
hears
soft
the noise
words to
and
help
is
her calm
derived
down.
to forestall
Laura
her.
also
However,
thinks they
Liz
should work
simply
together,
stabs
but
him.
before they can
Then
plan
his
anything,
henchmen
a bunch
arrive
of
to
nurses
assist
enters the
guard
cell
the
to take her
shroud.
vitals.
However,
In the
on their
meantime,
manor route,
Michael returns
Liz
to the
sees
cathedral
Laura
and finds
within
other
inside the
priests reviewing the
sales
security
priest and orders her man to
The men
take
are shocked to
her.
see
After the
Marconi alive,
institution
but
leaves
Michael
the
doesn't
room,
give an explanation and
Marconi
asks
makes
about the
use
protectors
of
of the
his
shroud.
ultimate breath to
The
wish
priest
and
explained
asks
Cardinal
Michael
Vincent
to
he had been
apply
in
his
charge of the
frame for you
protection,
to
but he
forestall
became unstable
Lucifer.
and started to
Michael
talk about
straight
demonic
away
beasts
descends
and
from
secret
heaven
cults,
and takes
which
over
everyone
the
blamed on
priest's
dementia.
frame to run
Michael
after
can't
Liz's
believe priests
institution,
don't believe in
who
what
were
the
leaving
Bible
of their
itself says
car.
and demands
His
to know
angel
where Vincent
powers
is,
permit him
learning
to
he's
run
now a
pretty
hermit living
fast.
alone in an
However,
asylum.
the human flesh
Then Michael
cannot
takes the
resist
security
such
footage,
energy,
asks
and
about
Michael
Laura
has
by
to
showing them her
forestall to
past,
keep
and makes
away
the
from
priests
destroying
promise
the
they won't tell
frame.
anyone that they
Meanwhile,
saw
a
it.
set of wealthy
Afterward,
human
Michael
beings
borrows a
watches
jacket
how a
and leaves in
prodigy
Marconi's
child
car,
performs
taking
the
some medicine
violin
he
with
finds in the
admirable
glove box
skill.
to deal with
After
the
the
pain caused by his
performance,
powers.
Dr.
All
Laurent
the while,
explains this
a raven
child is
follows him
similar
without
to
him noticing.
Antonio
While the
Vivaldi.
villa
That
scientists
is one
work hard
extra
on getting Jesus'
well-known
DNA
call
from the
in an
shroud,
extended
Michael makes
listing
it to
of
the
clones
asylum
that
and
his
meets
enterprise
Vincent,
has
who is
been
armed
making
and
with
afraid.
the aid of using
However, as soon
taking
as
DNA
Vincent
from
touches
their
Michael,
graves.
he can
The
tell he isn't
toddlers
just
are
a
then
priest and immediately
auctioned to
believes him
wealthy
when he says
parents,
he's an angel.
and modern
Vincent
providers
knows
in
about Liz and
Michelangelo
shows Michael the villa they
during
built
the
around the
auction.
hole to hell
Liz
while explaining this
suggests as
asylum
much
was
as
built as a
Permit
look-in.
Laurent
The
recognized they
scriptures
have
talk
the
about
shroud.
Lucifer returning
Moments
someday,
later,
and for that
the
he needs two
institution
ancient
makes
beasts
up
who
to
are both
Lucifer
worlds.
Villadot.
One is the
Laurent is
woman,
worked up
obviously
to appear
referring
the
to
shroud
Liz,
due
and
to
the
the
other is
fact
the beast
now
of the
he can
ground.
subsequently
For years,
clone Jesus.
Lucifer's followers
Even
brought him
as
gifts for
Laura
him
is
to possess,
changed and are a
but those
picture
human
mobile
bodies
unit
weren't
with
strong enough
Brenda
to
and
contain
different
him.
ladies.
That's why
One
they stole
of
the
them
shroud.
won't prevent
Their plan
crying and yelling. However, Laura uses a few gentle phrases to assist her calm down.
Michael is
Laura
disgusted by what he
additionally
hears
thinks
and
they need
promises
to
to
paint
stop
things
them.
together.
So Vincent
However,
drives Michael to
earlier
the foot of
than
the
they
villa
could
mountain.
plan anything,
Michael's presence
a
in the
gaggle
area
of
makes his sword
nurses
react,
enters the
and
moat
now
dealer
Lucifer
to
can
take
pull at
her
the chain to
vitals.
finally
In
free
the
himself from the
meantime,
seal.
Michael
In the
returns
villa,
to the
the women are
cathedral
trying
and
to find a
unearths
way to break
different
their chains while
clergymen
chatting
reviewing
about
the
their personal
safety
lives,
tapes.
which
The
reveals
guys
Laura
are
has
greatly
lost her husband
surprised
and her
to appear
child.
Marconi
Laurent
alive.
runs some tests
However,
and
Michael
discovers
would
Laura's
not supply
100%
evidence and
compatible.
asks
So Liz orders him to
approximately
hurry
the
up the
protectors
process.
of the shroud.
Next, the nurses return to
clergymen
the
give
cell
an
to take the
explanation
girls,
for
but the
Cardinal
women use their
Vincini
chains to
having
try to
been
defend
raped of the
themselves.
protection.
Unfortunately,
However,
more
he has
nurses
become
arrive and
risky
quickly
and
overpower
began
them to then
out to
take
speak
Brenda and Laura to
approximately
the surgery
demonic
room.
beasts and
There,
mystery
the
cults,
doctors implant
which
eggs
all
fertilized
people
with
blamed
Jesus'
on
DNA in the
dementia.
girl's uteri,
Michael
and Liz
cannot
shows up to
consider
introduce herself
clergymen
as
do
an
not
angel of the
consider
Lord.
in what the
She
Bible
tells Laura
itself
that she
says
knows
and
she's the
needs
one
to
because she saw her
understand wherein
sketches of Lucifer
Vincini
back in the
is,
cathedral, and they
gaining
were very
knowledge of
inspiring.
he is now a
Meanwhile,
hermit dwelling
Vincini
on my
leaves Michael
own
at
in
the
an
entrance of
asylum.
a secret
Then
cave that will
Michael
take him to
takes
the
the
villa.
safety footage,
Before leaving,
asks
Vincini
approximately
notices the
Laura
raven
with
that has
the
been
aid of
following them
using
and
to
shoots
playing
it
them
before
her
giving his
past,
weapon to Michael,
and makes the
who immediately
clergyman
begins making
promise
his
they
way
may
into the
not
cave.
inform
Moments
everybody
later,
that they
Laura
noticed
and Brenda
him.
are dressed as
Afterward,
brides and
Michael
brought to a
borrows a
gathering of
jacket
the
and
Lucifer
leaves in
worshippers,
Marconi's
where they're chained
car,
to a pillar.
taking a few
Then the beast of the
education.
ground
He
comes to pick up
unearths
the girls
within
and puts
the
them
glove
inside a
field
huge
to
bird
deal
cage
with
that
the
is
ache
lowered
as a
inside the
result
well
of
that
his
protects the hole
powers.
to hell.
Even
Suddenly,
as
a bunch of
raven
demons appear
follows
around
him
the cage
without
and hold the
him
women down
noticing,
while Lucifer
the villa
transforms his
scientist
body into only
painting
its
tough
essence so
on
he can
getting
enter Brenda
Jesus'
through the
DNA
mouth.
from the
For a
shroud.
few seconds,
Michael
Brenda
makes
struggles
it to
against
the
the devil,
asylum
but in
and
the
meets
end she can't
Vincini,
stand it and dies.
who's armed and
Then
afraid.
Lucifer leaves her
However,
body
as
and enters
quickly
Laura's
as
instead, who
Vincini
manages to
touches
survive
Michael,
the possession
he can
without
inform
trouble.
he isn't
Afterward,
only
Laura
a
walks
priest and
outside
right
in a
now
daze, and Liz
believes him
presents her
when
as the
he
chosen
says
one
he is
before
an
taking her
angel.
to a new glass
Vincini
cell
is
with a
aware
bed
of
and a vital sign
approximately
monitor.
Liz suggests
When Laura
Michael
asks
the
what's
villa
inside
they
her,
constructed
Liz says
across
it's a
the
better
holes
Jesus.
to hell even
Back
as
to Michael.
explaining
He
this
finally
asylum
finds a
become
door in the cave tunnel
constructed
and
as a
shoots it open to
lookout.
enter the villa.
The scriptures
The
speak
guards immediately
approximately
notice him,
Lucifer
and when
returning
Michael fails to
someday,
use his weapon,
and for
he
that he
gets shot in the
wishes
shoulder.
historic beasts
He
who are
responds
of
by
each
knocking
world.
out the guards
One
with a few
is the
hits.
woman,
Then he steals a
glaringly
uniform and
relating to
passes to go
Liz,
unnoticed.
and the
Michael
alternative
gains
is the
access
beast
to
of
the
the
lab and
ground.
retrieves the
For
shroud
years,
before looking at the
Lucifer's
security cameras
fans
to get
added him
Laura's
youngsters
location.
for him
At
to
that
possess.
moment, Laurent enters the
However, the
lab,
one's
but Michael
human, our
immediately
bodies
pushes
were
him
not
against the table
robust
and demands
sufficient
answers.
to incorporate
Laurent's
him.
only response
That's
is that
why
he
they
works for
stole
a
the
new
shroud.
beginning.
They
Michael
are making
decides to
plans
open the
to
gas
clone
canisters
Jesus
and
due
light
to
a
the
flare to
fact
blow
he
up
is
the
the
whole
most
lab,
effective
putting fire
one with the
between him and the
frame
incoming
robust
guards.
sufficient for
The fire
Lucifer
alarm
to
begins
take
ringing in the
over.
whole building,
Michael
and
is
Laura asks the
disgusted
nurse
with
to let her
the aid
go,
of using
but the
what
guy
he
won't
hears
let her
and
leave the cell.
guarantees to prevent
Suddenly,
them.
Michael
So
arrives, and after he
Vincini
knocks out
drives
the nurse,
Michael to the
Laura
foot of
hugs
the
him,
villa
thinking
mountain.
Marconi is alive
Michael's
after all.
presence within
However,
the
Michael gets
vicinity makes
distracted
his
because
sword
Lucifer
react,
begins to
and
speak
now
to him
Lucifer can
telepathically,
pull on the
teasing him
chain to
about his freedom.
subsequently
Michael
unfasten
doesn't understand
himself
how
from
his
the
seal was
seal.
broken
In
and
the
gets
villa,
furious,
the ladies
making
are
think Laura that
attempting
he's
to
part of the
find a
enemy.
manner to
Scared,
interrupt their
Laura
chains,
runs
even
away,
as
but
chatting
Michael quickly goes
approximately
after
their
her and drags
non-public
her into a
lives,
room before
which
she can be
well-known
found by the
shows
guards.
Laura has
Laura
misplaced her
responds by
husband
stealing
and her
his gun and
child.
pointing it at
Laura
him, but
runs
Michael
next to
convinces her he's
nurses
on her
go
side
back
while he
to the
takes care of the
mobilier
bullet
to
wound.
take the woman.
Then Laura
However, the
explains what they
ladies
did
use
to
their
her.
chains
So
to
Michael
attempt to
decides to
protect
drag her away
themselves.
with him to protect her.
Unfortunately, extra
Liz sees them
nurses
leave and
arrive and
sends her
quickly
henchmen after them,
overpower
but she
them to
kills one of the
then
guards
take
when he
Brenda
almost
and
shoots
Laura to
Laura
the
because she
surgical
must come to no
operation
harm.
room.
Michael and Laura
the
try
ducks
to escape
implant
through the
eggs
cave tunnel,
fertilized
but the
with
baby is
Jesus'
growing
DNA
too fast
within
and Laura
the
begins to
girl's
feel unwell.
uterine, and Liz
Their slowness gives
suggests as
time
much
for the
as
beast to catch up
introduce
to them, and
herself
it
as
begins
an
fighting
angel of
Michael,
the Lord.
who at first
She
offers
tells
good
Laura
combat,
that
but
she
soon
is
his human
aware
body
she's
begins
the
failing
only
again,
due
and
to
the
the
beast defeats
fact
him.
she noticed her
Liz arrives
sketches
with
of
the henchmen and
Lucifer back
recaptures
with
Laura,
inside
who
the
threatens with hurting
cathedral,
the baby
and
if they
that
hurt
they
the
have
priest.
been very
However, Liz
inspiring.
reminds her the priest
Meanwhile,
is already
Vincini
dead and she
leaves
just
Michael
needs to
on
kill
the
the angel
entrance
too.
of a mystery
While
cave
Laura
on
is
the way
taken
to
back to
take
the
him
cell
to the
and tied
villa.
to the bed,
Before leaving,
Michael is chained in a room
Vincini
with the well.
notices the raven
He
that
uses
has
his
been
powers to
following
destroy the
them and
chains and
shoots
he
it
frees
earlier,
himself,
then
but this
giving
leaves
his
him
weapon
extremely
to
weak.
Michael, who
After
right
dragging his
away
body through
begins
the ground,
making his
he
manner
reaches the well
into
and
the
opens
cave.
it to jump into
Moments
it right
later,
before the beast can
Laura
catch
and
him.
Brenda are
As soon as
dressed
he
as
lands in
brides
hell,
and taken
Michael
to
is
a
attacked by
collecting
a
of the
demon that he
Lucifer
quickly pushes away.
worshippers, in
He
which
checks
they
the
may
rock
be
and is
chained to
shocked
a
to see
pillar.
his sword
Then
isn't
the
there.
beast of the
More
ground
demons
involves
arrive and
select
use
out of the
Lucifer's
woman
sword to
and
imprison
places
Michael
them
the same
internal.
way
A
he had done
big
to
chicken
Lucifer years
cage
ago.
this is reduced in
Meanwhile,
the
the
well
baby
that
continues to
protects
grow
the
in Laura
hollow
at a
to hell.
supernatural speed.
Suddenly a bunch
Liz
of
tells Laura
demons
that this
seem
baby will
across the
replace the
cage
one
and
she lost,
maintain
but
the
she
ladies
refuses
down
to call
even
them the
as
same.
Lucifer
During an
transforms
ultrasound
his frame
scan,
into
Laura
most
watches the
effective its
baby on the
essence
screen
so
and
he
is
can
shocked to
input
suddenly see
Brenda
him
through
crawl
her
out to
mouth.
roar at her.
For some
But at that
seconds
moment she
Brenda
wakes up and
struggles
understands it was only
towards
a
the
dream.
Satan, however,
She finds Liz
ultimately
sitting
she
next to her,
cannot
who
stand
wants
it
to know
and
if Lucifer
dies.
talks to her.
Then Lucifer
Since Laura
leaves her
doesn't
frame
answer,
and
Liz
enters
begins
Laura
telling the story of
instead,
how Lucifer
who
fought the
manages
tyrant
to
they know
live
as
to tell the
God.
tale,
And when
the
Laura
ownership
says she
without
doesn't care,
trouble.
Liz slaps
Afterward,
her.
Laura walks
Liz
out
promises
of
she'll
doors
free
in a
Laura after
daze
she
and
gives
Liz
birth,
offers her
but for
as
now,
the
she
selected one
demands
earlier,
respect.
then taking her
Moments
to a
later,
brand
a
new
group of
glass
kids finds
mobile
Michael
with
on
the
the rock.
mattress and
It turns
important
out these are
signal
the failed
monitor.
sacrifices
When
who have
Laura
been working
asks
together
what
to
is
survive in
internal
hell.
her, Liz
Michael
says
promises
it's
he
a
can
better
take them
Jesus.
home if they manage
Back
to
to
find his
Michael.
sword.
He in
But
the
the kids
end
aren't sure
reveals
if
the
they can
door
trust
was
angels
inside the
since
cave
Lucifer had
panel
been
and
one
shoots
too.
it open to go into the
Unfortunately, the
villa.
demons
The
interrupt
guards
the chat
right
and the
away
kids run
note
away,
him.
but a
And
few of them
whilst
get
Michael
captured and
fails
Michael
to
can only
apply
watch
his
with
weapon,
frustration.
he
Back
receives
in
a
the cell,
shot within
Lucifer's
the
essence
shoulder dog. He
temporarily leaves
responds
Laura's
with
uterus
the
and
aid
enters
of
her mind
using
through her ear
knocking
to
out
make
the
her an offer
guards
she
with
can't
some
refuse.
hits.
If
Then
Laura
he
accepts him
steals
into
the
her life,
uniform and the
Lucifer will
biscuit
help kill
to
the
head
guy that murdered her
unnoticed.
family and
Michael
also
profits
lives, who Laura
access to the
hates.
lab and retrieves
Accepting
the
the deal,
child earlier
Laura lies
than
down on the
searching
bed and
at the
accepts
safety
Lucifer to
cameras
take over
to
the
get
baby as she
Laura's
dreams of
location.
holding the child
At
and
that
bonding with
second,
it.
Laura
Liz
enters the
watches all
lab.
this and begins
However,
worrying
Michael
about Laura
right
becoming
now
too
pushes
strong.
him towards
Later,
the desk
while a nurse
and
runs
needs
some
answers.
tests, Laura uses her new powers to put out the
reaction
light
is that
and
he
kill the
works
nurse.
for a brand
Then
new
she leaves the
beginning.
room and
Michael
bumps into
makes the
another nurse,
decision to
whom she
open the few
immediately begins
Lolland
beating up and
canisters
kicking
and
until he
allow the
dies.
flare to explode
Suddenly,
the
Laura
entire
snaps out of
lab,
Lucifer's dark
placing
hole and is
hard place
terrified by
among
what
him
she just
and the
did,
incoming
deciding
guards.
she must kill the
The
baby
hard
before it
place
gets
alarm
worse.
starts ringing
This makes
with inside
Lucifer
the
ask her
entire
not to do it while calling
constructing,
her
and
mother.
Laura asks the
Laura
nurse to
ignores
allow her
Lucifer's
go.
voice and runs into a
However, the
janitorial
man might
closet as
not
guards
allow
begin
her to go
chasing
away
her.
the sound.
After locking
Suddenly,
the door,
Michael
Laura
arrives,
grabs
and
a bottle
after
of
he
chlorine and
knocks
struggles
out the
against
nurse,
Lucifer's control
Laura
to drink
hugs
it.
him, wondering
As Laura
Marconi
pukes and
is
begins
alive
wiggling in
after
pain,
all.
Liz
However,
kicks down
Michael
the door and
receives
yells at Laura for what
distracted
she
due
did
to
to
the
the
fact
baby.
Lucifer
When she's about
starts
to leave
talk
to find a
him
doctor,
telepathically,
Laura suddenly
teasing
uses her
him
powers to close
approximately
the
his
door and push
freedom.
Liz to the
Michael
ground to
would
puke on
not
her face.
apprehend how his
It
seal
turns out
turned
Lucifer
into
is
damage
controlling her
and
body
receives
now, and this is in
furious,
punishing Liz
making
for her
assume
mistakes.
Laura that he is
Liz
a part
wishes
of
she
the
could have been
enemy.
the one to carry the
Scared,
baby,
Laura
but
runs
Lucifer
away.
ignores her pleas to
However,
give her new
Michael
orders.
quick is
After
going
the
after
birth,
her and
nobody
drags
can
her
know what
right
happened
into
here,
a room
so
earlier
everyone
than
must
she
die.
may be
He's
discovered
also
with
worried
the
about the
aid of
fact
using
Laura
the
and the baby are
guards.
bonding,
Laura
meaning she
responds
must
with
be
the
killed
aid
after
of
the
using
birth too.
stealing his gun
Then
and
Laurent
pointing
arrives
it
and
at
Lucifer
him.
hits him as he
However,
demands to
Michael
be saved from the
convinces her
chlorine.
he is on her
Moments
aspect
later,
even as he
Laura's
looks
body is
after
put
the
inside
bullet
a healing
wound.
pot.
Then Laura
Lucifer's
explains
essence
what they did
temporarily
to her.
leaves her body
So
and takes
Michael
over a
makes the
demon and hell
decision
to
to
talk to
pull her
Michael to
away
make fun of
with
his
him to
failure,
guard her.
which is seen by
Liz
the kids
sees
from the
them go
shadows as
away
proof
and
Michael
sends
is
her
a good
henchmen
guy.
after them.
After Lucifer
However,
leaves,
she
Michael
kills one
finally
of the
understands
guards
why
while he
God is
merely
allowing this to
shoots
happen,
Laura due
and the
to the
kids come
fact
to his
she
rescue.
have to come to
They
no
aren't strong
damage
enough to
Michael
remove the
and
demon
Laura
sword from the
attempt to break
chains,
out
so they
through
go
the
looking
cave
for Michael's
tunnel.
own sword.
However, the child
They
is
find it among some
developing
rubble,
too
but
rapid,
before
and
they can
Laura
give it to
starts
Michael,
to
a bunch
experience
of demons
unwell
arrive and
dot.
offer
Their
freedom to the
slowness
kids too.
offers time for
For
the
a moment,
beast
the
to
kids
capture
hesitate,
as
but
much
then they
as them,
remember
and
what they
it
heard and
starts
they give the sword
preventing
to
Michael,
Michael, who
who at the
momentarily
start
gains his
offers
old form and
excellent
kills the
fight.
demons.
However, quickly his
After
human
promising
frame
the kids he'll
starts
come back for
filling
them
once
soon,
more, and
Michael
the beast
returns to
defeats
Earth in
him.
Marconi's
Liz
body and
arrives
retrieves
with
the
the
shroud
henchman
before
and
going back to the
recaptures
main building.
Laura, who
He
threatens
knocks down a
hurting
guard
the
and steals
child
a
in the
weapon
event
before
that
going
they
to check on
harm the
Laura,
priest.
only for
However,
Lucifer's
Liz
voice to
reminds her
answer
the
her.
priest is
Desperate
already
to help,
lifeless,
Michael
and she
begins
or he
pushing the
simply
pod to take it into
desires to
another
kill
room,
the angel
which is seen
too.
by a nurse.
While Laura is
After
taken
locking the
lower
door,
back
Michael
to the
opens the pod
mobilier
and
and
tries to
tied to
explain
the
the
bed.
baby isn't what
Michael
Laura
is
thinks,
chained
but
within
Lucifer
inside the
pushes
room
him
with
away
a
with a
nice
mighty
leap.
roar.
He makes use
Then
of his
Lucifer guides
powers to
Laura's
wreck the
body to
chains,
stand
and
above
he
Michael
frees
and announces
himself.
her water has
However,
broken
this
before
leaves
releasing
him
the liquid on
extremely
the
weak.
angel, burning
After
his body.
dragging his frame
Michael
through
tries
the
to run
ground,
away,
he
but
reaches
Lucifer
the
grabs
nice
him
leap
and
and
holds him on
opens it to
Laura's
leap
lap as he
into
has to
it
be
proper
worshipped.
earlier than
When
the
Michael
beast
refuses,
can capture
Lucifer
him
stabs
as
his neck
quickly
with Laura's
as he
fingers,
lands
but
in
Michael
hell.
won't give up and
Michael
shares
is
the
attacked
conclusion
through
he
a
reached.
demon that he
God is
fast
allowing this
pushes
because
away.
if Lucifer
He
enters
examines the
Jesus'
rock
holy
and
body,
is taken
Jesus
aback
will
to
keep him
hear
under
his
his
sword
control and
isn't
sealed
there.
forever.
More demons
Lucifer is
arrive and
furious to
use
hear this and
Lucifer's
begins throwing
sword
a
to
tantrum,
imprison Michael in
knocking
the
out
equal
Michael in the
manner he had
process.
accomplished
When
to
Liz comes
Lucifer
with the
years
guards,
ago.
Lucifer asks
Meanwhile,
her
the
to kill the
child
baby,
keeps
but
to
Liz
develop
assumes
in
it's
Laura
Laura
at a
talking again and makes the
supernatural
guards take her
speed.
to the altar.
Liz tells
On
Laura
top
that
of the
this
well to
toddler
hell,
will
Laura
update
gives
the
birth
only
to the
she
baby
lost.
and Liz immediately
However,
takes
she
him away.
refuses to name them
Laura
the
is
same.
left alone on the
During
well,
an
and the beast
ultrasound
opens the lid to
scan,
make her fall
Laura
before joining
watches
the
the
others
toddler
outside.
at the display
Liz
screen
presents
and
their
is
new
bowled
savior to
over to
Lucifer's
abruptly
followers and
see him
announces he'll
crawl
be
out to
baptized
roar
with
at
blood
her.
instead of water.
However,
Then the
at that
beast proceeds
second
to
she
kill every
wakes up
follower,
and knows it
doctor,
become
and guard.
handiest to dream.
Laurent is
She
shocked,
unearths
but also
the
glad
sitting
being spared.
subsequent to
However,
her,
after he gets
who
to kiss the
desires
baby's
to
head,
realize
the
if
beast kills him
Lucifer
as well.
talks to her.
Meanwhile,
Since Laura
Michael wakes
doesn't
up and
answer,
breaks the window with
Liz
his weapon to
starts
escape the room.
telling the tale
He
of
enters the
ways
well room and
Lucifer
finds
fought
Laura
the
hanging on
tyrant
the
they
edge.
realize
So
as
he helps
God.
her up before they
And
go
while
after their
Laura
enemy together.
says she would not
Liz is
care,
about to leave with the
Liz
baby in a
slaps
car,
her. Liz
but Laura jumps on her and
guarantees
hits
she'll
her before reaching
unfasten
for the
Laura
child.
after she
Liz
offers
asks for no
birth.
harm for Lucifer,
However, for
and
now,
Michael explains
she
that the
needs
baby isn't
respect.
Lucifer.
Moments
The
later,
devil didn't choose
a collection
Laura.
of
God
children
did, and she
unearths
gave birth to
Michael
what
at
will
the
become
rock.
Lucifer's
It
eternal
seems
prison.
those are the failed
Laura gets in the car
sacrifices
and
who
leaves
being
to find
operating
Vincent while
collectively
Michael
to
stays to
continue
fight
to
because the gates
exist
to
in
hell are
hell.
now open,
Michael
meaning the
guarantees
demons
he
will
can
try to
take
escape.
the domestic in
Michael
the event
rushes to
that
the
they
well and
manipulate
closes
to
it,
locate
only to be
his
found
sword.
by the beast,
However, the
who throws
children
him
are
away to
not
start
certain
opening the
in
well
the
again.
event that they can
Before the
consider
beast can do
angels
so,
given that
Michael discovers the
Lucifer
explosives
were
Liz left to get rid of the evidence and
the demons
activates them now,
interrupt the
causing an
chat and the
explosion that
children
destroys
run
the
away.
facility and
However,
covers the
some
hole
of them
under all the
get
debris.
captured and Michael
Sometime
can
later,
handiest watch
Vincent
with
takes Laura and the
frustration.
baby to the
Back with
cathedral and they
inside the
return the
cell,
shroud while Michael
Lucifer's
returns to hell
essence
to free all
quickly
the kids
leaves
as
Laura's
promised.
uterus
Years
and
pass,
enters her
and
thoughts
Laura
through
lives
her
with
ear
Vincent
to
in the
make her a
asylum to
proposal
protect the
she
child,
cannot
who has
refuse.
grown well and
If
healthy.
Laura accepts
One day,
him into her
Liz
life,
sneaks into the forest
Lucifer
to watch
will
the family
assist
and
kill
tries
the
to call
fellow
for
that
Lucifer.
murdered her
But when the
own
devil
circle
tries
of
to
relatives
escape,
and
the child
additionally
simply
Liz,
absorbs him back
who
into
Laura
his body to
hates,
keep him sealed.
accepting the deal. Laura
Make sure to
lies down at
subscribe
the
and turn
mattress
on
and accepts
notifications so you
Lucifer
can
to
watch
take
more
over the
videos
toddler
like this.
as she
Thanks for
desires
watching.
of holding the kid and bonding with him. Liz watches all this and starts a